Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I am Assistant Professor Dr. Ammar Abdul Wahab. I'm going to teach you English phonetics. The book we are going to depend on in this course is Better English Pronunciation by O'Connor. This is the second edition, 2003. The first section of this topic is about, actually it's an introduction about problems in pronunciation. First of all, we need to put some basic points clearer, just like what kind of learners are you? You should know as learners of English what kind of learners you are, because we have different types of learners. So you, my students, you are called foreign learners of English. Why foreign learners of English? Because foreign learners of English usually learn the language in a non-native setting, which is in our case Iraq. Iraq is the non-native setting you are learning English in. And this is different from another learner who is learning the language in England, for example, or in the USA, or in Canada, or in Australia, okay, where English is spoken as a first language there. Okay, your first language is Arabic, and Iraq is a native setting for Arabic, but it is a non-native setting for English. So you are learning English in a different place that does not speak English as a first or even a second language. The second reason why you are called foreign learners is that you are taught by non-native teachers. The teaching staff we have in our college, in our department, is not native. Okay, so me, I'm one of your teachers. My colleagues, the other teaching staff members, are not British people, are not Americans. We are Iraqis. So again, we are non-native speakers, non-native teachers. So, to summarize, you are called foreign learners, متعلمين أجانب يسموكم. Why? Because you are learning English in a non-native setting, which is Iraq, and you are taught by non-native teachers. I'm talking about me and my colleagues in the department. We are not native teachers, not native speakers of English. So what are the problems if you are a foreign learner? First of all, you don't have native exposure to English, because you are going to listen to us. We are your teaching models, and we are not native speakers. That's why the native exposure to the language is very limited. It may be a good or an extensive native exposure if you have teachers who are from Britain or who are from America. In this case, you are going to have that native exposure. But since your teachers are not native speakers, you will not be able to listen to English that is native. The second is that you don't have a chance to use the language outside the class. The only chance you have to experience English is inside the classroom, okay? Or inside the Google Classroom in our case. Okay? So whenever you are outside the class, there is no English. When you talk to your friends, you speak in Arabic. When you chat with your family members or friends outside, it's all done in Arabic. So there is no English outside the class. Okay? And you don't have real life situations. Even the situations we may create in the class are artificial, مصطنعة. They are not real life situations, not natural situations. But a person, for example, who is learning English in Canada and walking around and shopping from markets, he or she is going to use English in real life situations. But here inside the classroom, this is not real life situations in which you can use English in an effective way. The second and the fourth, another problem is that the L1 is the dominant language in the community. When we say L1, we mean Arabic in our case, because our L1 يعني اللغة الأولى أو mother tongue is Arabic, okay, and we are learning English in addition to Arabic. But do we use English or Arabic in our life? Mostly everything we do in Arabic, except when we are in the class. So the dominant language is Arabic. اللغة المسيطرة, it's the Arabic language, not the English language. All of these things will make learning English a difficult task. Why learning English here is not easy? Because of all these things. Okay? Now, the difficulty, all the difficulties we have mentioned so far, increases. Why the difficulty increases for you? Because you are learning English at a late stage. So you are learning English at almost at the age of 20 and even more. Okay? How does this affect the learning process? Take it as a rule. The sooner the better. كل ما كان التعلم مبكر كل ما كان أفضل. Okay? So the sooner you learn, or the earlier you learn the language, the better performance we expect. But if you learn the language at a later age, just like you now, you are adults now, you're grown-ups, so you are now you start learning English as a language, not the basic things you used to learn at schools, just like الحروف وبعض الكلمات and vocabulary. No, now you are learning English, the syntax of English, the phonetics of English, the phonology of English, the semantics of English, all of these things, including literary topics. So learning English at a later stage is not an easy task, because we have what we call CPH. CPH is the critical period hypothesis. High hypothesis assumes that when a person reaches a specific age, it's difficult for him or for her to develop a second language in an efficient and effective way. So some scholars believe that at the age of 12 to 15, some believe it's even earlier, at the age of 10 or 9. If you reach the age of 12 to 15 and you have not started learning the language yet, it's going to be difficult for you to learn it. But if you learn it at 5, 3, 2, 4, it's going to be easier. This is called the critical period hypothesis. This period is critical. When you start learning the language after 15, it's going to be difficult for you. Before 15 and even earlier, at the age of 6, 7, 8, etc., it's going to be easier. Easier, not easy, but easier compared to the case when you start learning the language at a later age. Okay? Now, another source of difficulty is that you are going to give up our L1 linguistic habits and information. يعني منذ الولادة you are learning Arabic, you are listening to Arabic, speaking Arabic to your father, to your brothers, mothers, sisters, friends, neighbors. All of the things are done in Arabic. Now at this particular age, at the age of 19 or 20 years old, you should put all these things away. نحطها على صفحة. Then we start learning linguistic habits, English linguistic habits, which is also important. It's also difficult. Now, another source of difficulty is the differences between the L1 and the L2. There are differences between Arabic as our L1 and English as our L2. there are differences. هاي differences تشمل الفونولوجي، تشمل الساوندز، الspelling, grammar. There are differences. Okay? These differences may make the process of learning English as a difficult one. For example, if we take the sound v, we don't have the sound v in Arabic. That's why it's difficult to learn it. It is difficult to learn it. Usually we say fe instead of v. That's why instead of saying fiber, we may use what? Say fiber. Fiber. Instead of v, we say fe. In spelling, we are going to talk about this. In grammar, the word order in English is different from the word order in Arabic sentences. Okay? So, because of these difficulties we have mentioned so far, can we say that it's impossible to learn an L2? مستحيل نتعلم? No. It's not impossible, but it is difficult. It is difficult and requires hard work. This is a very important message for you since you are still at the beginning. بعدكم بالبداية. If you want to learn English, it's not impossible. No, you can learn English even with all these difficulties we have just said, but it requires you to work hard and practice in order to learn English. I think the video has become very long. I need to stop here, and I'm going to make another video for the rest of the lecture. Thank you very much.